जय कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव राधा माधव श्री राधे। जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय। जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा, जय प्रभुपदा जय। श्री राधा माधव भगवान की जय, श्री राधा गिरधारी भगवान की जय, इस डिवाइन ग्रेसशील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम ज्ञान चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभिष्टं येन स्वयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साधुवैष्णवं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखावितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। कल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Oh, thanks. Hare Krishna. So, we'll start reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. So the title is New Delhi Crying Alone in the Wilderness. Writing articles was no problem. By the grace of his spiritual master, he was neither short of ideas nor unable to set them down. Translating and commenting on the Vaishnava scriptures, his pen flowed freely. He was inspired by the miracle of the press, the Brihad Mridanga. The work of writing his message down and printing it 1,000 times with the awareness and urgency of speaking directly to everyone, not just people in Delhi or India, but everyone, put Abhay into an ecstatic meditation. He would contemplate how copies of Back to Godhead could reach thoughtful people who might read them gratefully. Nor was maintenance a problem. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami had declared that a devotee's problem was not food, clothing, or shelter. If one had no bed, he could always lie on the ground and use his arms for a pillow. For clothes, he could always find some rejected garment in the street. For food, he could live on fruits from the trees. And for lodging, he could stay in the mountain cave. Nature supplies all necessities. A transcendentalist should not flatter materialists to maintain himself. Of course, Abhay wasn't living in the mountains or jungle, but in the city of New Delhi. Yet he had virtually adopted the renounced mode Shukdev had suggested, not to punish his body or prove himself pure and uncompromising, but because he had to live in the poverty if he wanted to regularly produce back to Godhead. So here you can see Srila Prabhupada is inspired very much about writing, and he has done so much writing that we can never imagine. And he calls the press Brihad Mridanga. And you know, BTG is the world's biggest producer of Vedic literatures now. It's all due to Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So devotees should not have problems in finding basic needs. Prabhupada says, here, it's written. Sukadeva Goswami says, not Prabhupada. Devotees' problem is not food, clothing, and shelter. Anyway, we are not that renounced. We are not yogis. We need all these things. But we should use it in the service, in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada Lila Amrita ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. So we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-4. Let's try the verse. Gauravad yantrita sabhya Gauravad yantrita sabhya Prashrayanta kandaraha Parashrayanta kandharaha Vidhivat pujyam chakre Vidhivat pujyam chakre Grihit adhya arhan asanan Grihit adhya arhan asanan Gauravadyantrita sabhya Prashrayanta kandaraha Vidhivat pujayam chakre Grihit adhyarhana asana. Please. Gauravadyantritaha sabhya Parashrayanta kandaraha Gritadhyarhana asanan. Gauravadyantrita sabhya Parashyaranta kandaraha विधिवत पूजयाम चक्रे भृत्यादि अर्हन्नासनान्. Try. गौरवाद्यंत्रिता सभ्य विधिवत पूजयाम चक्रे गृहीताद्य आसना. Okay. Gauravat, glories. Yantritaha, completely. Sabhya, most civilized. Parashraya, by humbleness. Anantakandara, it's Anatakandara, bowing down his shoulder. Vidhivat, according to the instructions of the Shastra. Pujyam, by worshipping. Chakre, performed. Grihita, accepting. Adhi, including. Arhana, paraphernalia for reception. Asanan, sitting places. Translation and peppered by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: when the great sages accepted their reception according to instructions of the Shastras and finally took their seats offered by the king, influenced by the glory, immediately bowed down. Thus he worshipped the four Kumaras. Please repeat. When the great sages accepted their reception according to the instructions of the Shastras and finally took their seats offered by the king, influenced by the glories of the sages, immediately bowed down. Thus he worshipped the four Kumaras. Purport. The four Kumaras are Parampara spiritual masters of the Vaishnava Sampradaya. Out of the four Sampradayas, namely Brahma Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, and Rudra Sampradaya, the disciplic succession of spiritual master to disciple, known as the Kumar Sampradaya, is coming down from the four Kumaras. So Prithu Maharaj was very respectful to the Sampradaya Acharyas. As it is said by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastre. Our spiritual master, or the Parampara Acharya, should be respected exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Vidhivat is significant in this verse. This means that Prithu Maharaj was also strictly followed the injunctions of the Shastra in receiving a spiritual master or Acharya. Of the transcendental disciplic succession, whenever an Acharya is seen, one should immediately bow down before him. Prithu Maharaj did this properly. Therefore, the words used here are Parashrayanta Kandaraha. Out of humility, he bowed down before the four Kumaras. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurantam Smashri Namaha. Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Avastaya Krishna Goswami Namne Namaha So We'll just repeat. I'll just repeat the verse. Gaurvadyantritaha sabhya parashran yantakandara vidhivat pujayam chakre grihita dharya han asanan. Translation: When the great sage accepted their reception according to the instructions of the Shastras and finally took their seats offered by the king, influenced by the glories of the sages, immediately bowed down. Thus he worshipped the four Kumaras. So, the title of this chapter, which is chapter 22, is Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the four Kumaras. And we all know the four Kumaras. They are the sons of Lord Brahma, and they appeared from his mind. And all the sons of Lord Brahma were supposed to populate the world, the creation. And due to Sri Narad Muni, many of them refused, and they did devotional service instead of going into Grihastha ashram. So Brahmaji was quite upset about that. And Naradji is his own son. And debating those thousands of sons to refrain from getting into Grihastha life and producing children. So again, in this case, the four Kumaras, when they were born, appeared. They themselves refused to go into Grihastha life and populate the world. And they were when they were about 3-4 years old at that age. So they refused to do that, and Brahma, Lord Brahma was very upset. So what he did, he got so angry, Lord Brahma, and from his forehead appeared Rudra. That's one part of, just like incarnation of Lord Shiva, Rudra. So that's how Rudra appeared. And then one of the sampradayas is Rudra Sampradaya. Since we're talking about sampradayas, there are four bona fide sampradayas through which we get these acharyas coming down to us, and it starts from Lord Krishna and then branches into four sampradayas. And we belong to Brahma Gauriya Madhava Sampradaya. Lord starts from Lord Brahma. And the other one is Kumar Sampradaya. And it starts from these four Kumaras, which we'll learn more about. And the other one is Sri Sampradaya, coming from Lakshmi, Mata, Mother Lakshmi. And the other one is Rudra Sampradaya, coming from Rudra, Lord Rudra. So these are the bona fide sampradayas, and the acharyas that come down in these sampradayas are bona fide. And if we belong to one of these sampradayas, we can be rest assured that we can go back to Godhead through the sampradaya, their blessings, provided we really do our part properly, devotional service and so forth, serving the spiritual master. And currently in India, there are so many other gurus are there, and they don't belong to any of these sampradayas, but they have millions of followers as well. They are very eloquent. They don't even refer to the scriptures, but they have their own philosophies. Anyway, there is place for these people too in this world. So some people want to be cheated, so they are cheating. Gurus are also there. Anyway, so before I go into the purport, you can see that these sages are not ordinary people. These four Kumaras are great sages, effulgent. They are sons of Lord Brahma. And they never wanted to have an adult body like us. They wanted to remain in those little children bodies. Wherever you see their pictures in the Srimad Bhagavatam, they are little 2-3-year-old children. Very powerful. When they arrived in the assembly of Prithu Maharaj is one of the Sakya Vesh avatar incarnation of Lord Krishna, empowered, and he had a purpose to serve, which he came for. So they came to they were all seated in the assembly, Prithu Maharaj with his ministers and all the sages there. Then the four Kumaras entered. As soon as they entered, they all knew these are great sages, and they knew about four Kumaras. So immediately, Prithu Maharaj got off from his throne, golden throne, with his ministers and some of his sages, gurus. They went to welcome these four Kumaras. And he followed all the Shastric injunctions to welcome them. Maybe first thing, what do you think he did first? They did first. When the four Kumaras arrived, they entered through the door. What do you think? All of them got up and went towards these four Kumaras. Then what do you think they did next? Thank you. They offered their obeisances. Dandavat pranam. Okay, even that king Prithu Maharaj, he offered, and all of them offered obeisances to the four Kumaras. And then they must have brought them inside the hall, gave them a seat, and then, what do you think? Wash their feet bathing ceremony. Wash their feet, and after that, give them a nice place to sit, and then, of course, converse, talk. So this is he followed the instructions of the Shastras, the scriptures, strictly. And these four Kumaras were very pleased with the reception. And this is what we have been taught, isn't it, in ISKCON? When our Guru Maharaj come to our place, yeah, we offer garlands, Dandavat Pranam, give him a seat, and then by these lotus feet and put that, we call it Charna Amrita, all right? And then we sprinkle it everyone's head, or the devotees, the disciples even drink it. So this reminds me something else. There are two very, maybe you can correct me, there are two very potent things that we do to progress or fast track our devotional service, make quick advancement. What are those two things? Do you know? Two things that, yes, the dust of the lotus feet of the sages or your Guru Maharaj, that's why we touch their feet or bite their feet. The dust goes in the water. That's Charanamrit. This is very potent, very powerful to make progress in we must drink it, we must put it on our body. So that's one thing. What do you think is the next one? Sorry? Remembrance? Remembrance, thank you. Yeah, Mahaprasad. That's why people go for it. They don't know why, but when Maharaj, remnants are there on the plate, they just everyone wants to have. So these two things I have heard is very potent in our spiritual advancement. So we must not, as soon as we have these sages or gurus coming, And we have the opportunity, take it. Have that. Honor it. Honor it. Okay. In the Ramayana, there's somebody did the similar thing, not to a great sage, but even just to Lord Ramchandra. Do you recall? Who washed his lotus feet? Lord Ramchandra, when he was going to the forest, he was exiled, and somebody washed his lotus feet. Not Shabri. Bharata, well, he took his shoes. Come on. Somebody, he was, okay, I'll give you a clue. He was about to cross the Ganga. The boatman, the Kewat. Kewat means boatman. So remember that? She said, I won't allow you to sit on my boat. There's a reason behind it. He said, I heard that when you touched Ahilya with your lotus feet, Ahilya turned into a human being and she went into through the sky. She was delivered from the curse of her husband. What else he mentioned? Something else. So if you touch my boat with your lotus feet, it will become a woman and it will go into the sky. Then how will be able to maintain my family? This is my business. That's what Kewat said. So Lord Ramchandra said, okay, you can watch my boat. So he was so clever, this Kewat, this boatman. So he brought Ganga Jal right from the Ganga, bought a container and washed his lotus feet. And he drank it and he sprinkled on his family members. And then, okay, Lord, now you can go in. So Lord Ramchandra, Lord Lakshman, and Sita, Mother Sita, they all boarded the boat. And he rowed them across Ganga. So that's the service he did for the Lord. What a great service. And then he requested when he was getting off and before Lord Ram said thank you and Mother Sita was giving her something and he said, no, I don't want anything from you. This is my prayer. I brought you across this Ganga when it's my time to leave this planet. Please, you take me across this cycle of birth and death. This is my prayer. This is what, please remember to take me back to Godhead. Nice pastime, isn't it? So this is our culture, our tradition in Vedic culture. We touch the feet of our elders and get blessings. But now I understand, get their dust of their feet and get blessing from. We do that for our parents, mom and dad, and all the elders. This is our Vedic culture, which is very nice. It also teaches you to be humble, become humble. And doing Dandavat Pranam, you learn to become humble. Trinadapi Sunichena, which will help us to make progress in our spiritual life. Okay, going back to the Katha here. I have talked about the paramparas, 4 parampara. And let me see what I have got in my notes. So King Prithu is very exemplary, isn't it? He is showing very good example. He's following the injunctions of the Shastra, the scriptures very well, and is teaching by his example that we should follow in his footsteps. So remember, if we have some acharyas, sages coming to our home, we should know how to receive them, following the scripture. And that will give us lots of, blessings from them. They will bless us. I've already done this. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, all these acharyas, all our spiritual masters should be respected, given to be honored as much as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. They should be honored and respected so much. It says here, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastre, our spiritual master. So Prithu Maharaj was very humble king, and although he was the emperor of the whole planet, he was ruling this planet, but he was so humble, and he set a very good example for all of us. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu similarly says, I have already mentioned Pinnadapi, Sunichena Tarorapi Sahish Chunamani Namanadena Kirtanya Sada Hari. We should be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. Such a powerful, statement, which is very hard to follow. Very hard. It will take us years and years to come to that state. But some people will be faster. Depends. So how not? It should be more humble than a blade of grass. Grass is trampled upon by thousands of people, animals, but they still keep growing. No complaint. And the tree, we cut down the tree, branches, we trim them, we get fruits, but they still shower their blessings on us, give us everything they can give us. Shade, food, and so on. Amanina mandena, prestige, respect, expecting respect from others. So these qualities have been, our acharyas have these qualities in full. All of our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, just look at Srila Prabhupada. How humble he was. So we should learn from them and try to imbibe these qualities to make, this will help us to, develop in our Krishna consciousness. Imbibe these qualities. Don't expect respect from others, but give respect to everyone. All right, so anything else here? No, I don't have anything else to share. You have any comments and questions? Yes. Impersonalist, yeah. Well, in the beginning, they were impersonalists, thank you. And when did they become devotees of the Lord? That's another point. So as far as I know, they went to the Vaikuntha planet to see Lord Vishnu. You know that story, that katha. And they were not allowed in by the Jay and Vijay, the doorkeepers. But when they were standing there, they could smell the aroma of tulsi leaves coming from there. And when they smelled and went through the nostrils, they changed. They were transformed into devotees. That's where they became devotees of the Lord and no more impersonalism. And when did they become Acharya? I have no idea, but they did become Acharya, Sampradaya Acharyas. Yes. Anyone can mention that? Anyone else? Yeah, you had to go. Yeah, that's a very nice question, practical. We all face these things. Not all, those who are at, especially working outside. Yeah, it depends on your personality and your own discretion, but keep in mind all these philosophies, applied accordingly. But yeah, definitely don't try to offend them. Yeah, we should not offend anyone. Um, take it easy, be tolerant. What else can you do? Otherwise, you can leave the job and find another one. Yeah, what can we do? Well, it depends on the personality and the severity of the situation. Very severe. Then best to leave it. Leave your go to another place and find another job. But these things are happening, yes, all over. We had a chat just this morning about one teenager, about 17-year-old, working in Pack and Save, young man. It's heavy job picking things and putting somewhere and packing, and he got tired. So he went there in one corner and sat down and started to take some rest. Sat there for 10 minutes or so, and then supervisor saw. Then whoever was that supervisor, scolded at this boy. You have come here to do that? We are paying you to work, something like that. But he honestly answered that my hands were tied and I was tired, so I needed some break. So you can see, people are, kind of abused like this in workplace. It's a simple example. So yeah, but there are serious cases and so on. Well, you try your best to know how you can resolve that. Maybe you can talk to the boss nicely. If it's serious, yeah. Whatever you can tolerate. But when it goes above that, then something has to be done. That's all I can say. All right. Thank you. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anand Kori Vaishnavind ki jai. Nithai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.